Welcome to the Rotary Time Show, a public service program presented by Rotary District 7610. On our programs, we talk with Rotarians and community leaders and discuss how Rotary International builds partnerships to support local, national, and world communities. I am your host, Rotarian Dr. Deborah Jackson from the Rotary Club of McLean, Virginia. The success of a Rotary Club is dependent on the club president. They lead, inspire, motivate, and connect their clubs with communities either locally or around the world. Joining me remotely today is Rotarian David Baas, who is the president of the Rotary Club of Arlington, Virginia, for the 2022-23 Rotary year. Welcome, President David, to the Rotary Time Show.
Thanks for having me, Deborah.
Oh, we're glad to have you to learn more about your club. We hear great things happening over there in Arlington, and I know our listening and viewing audience is really excited about hearing about some of those things. So let's get started. I want you to take a minute and just tell our audience a little bit about David, about your background and your life before Rotary.
Sure. So if you want to start all the way at the beginning, I was born in Ethiopia and adopted as a baby, and along with my brother and sister who were also adopted, we all moved to Arlington in 1997, I believe. I was about 3 years old. And I've been in Arlington since, really. I did Key Elementary, Gunston Middle, and Wakefield High School. Definitely consider myself an Arlingtonian. From there, I went to the College of William and Mary, where I studied international relations and economics. And then after that, I worked a little bit in sales before going to the Peace Corps in Costa Rica as a community economic development volunteer. And now I am the president of the Arlington Rotary Club, as well as working for the federal government in federal acquisition services.
How exciting, and congratulations on your presidency.
Thank you.
Let's talk then about the Arlington Club. How did you get connected to the Arlington Club?
So I actually got involved with Rotary in high school. I was a member of the service club. So, we would do various volunteering projects. And the Rotary Club of Crystal City actually sponsored us and helped turn us into an Interact Club. And so from there, one of the first things we did was host a large group of Pakistani exchange students at our high school. I believe there were 40 of them, and they stayed for about 3 weeks. And so for those 3 weeks, we hung out, we interacted, we studied with these students, and it was an amazing cultural exchange. We learned a lot. I think they learned a lot from us as well. And I just remember thinking back then, like, this is a really cool experience, and this is made possible by Rotary. So I think, maybe when I'm older, I could see myself becoming a Rotarian. And after college, I came back to Arlington. I sat down on my computer one day, just typed in Arlington Rotary, and it was a coincidence that they were meeting less than 2 blocks away from my house. So I popped in one day, and I just immediately felt a connection with the people in the room, with their passion to improving their community, and being responsible citizens. And so from there, I just sort of hit the ground running. I took up leadership positions, and really just got really enthusiastic and dove headfirst into the world of Rotary.
So you drank the Rotary Kool-Aid early on in life, and
exactly.
It paid off now, and we're so glad you Googled the Arlington Club and joined that club. Now let's talk about your club, the Arlington Club of Virginia. Tell us about the club. Where does it meet? Is it a breakfast, lunch, dinner club? What is your membership like? Tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. So we are the Arlington Rotary Club. We are the first Rotary Club established in Arlington. There are currently 2 others. We were founded on July 4th, 1929. So we are now in our 93rd year, which is really exciting. At the moment, we have about 35 members. I think technically we're about 40, but we have some honorary members that may not necessarily be as active. And when I first joined, the club was definitely skewed on the older side. When I first walked in, I think I was the youngest person in the room by a handful of years. But since I've joined, that's changed. Our club has gotten younger and more diverse, and I think we're really starting to reflect, the community that we live in.
Absolutely.
And if for those who are familiar with the Arlington Rotary Club, for a long time we met at the Washington Golf and Country Club. We have since moved. We are now in a more accessible location. We are meeting at Ragtime Restaurant on the second and fourth Thursdays of the month. That's in Courthouse, just about 200 feet from the Courthouse Metro. And it's a little bit different than what we were doing before, where we had meetings every week, but it seems it's working out well for us, and Ragtime is a really great location. We're happy with the spot.
And we're finding that a number of clubs in 7610 are moving from the weekly meetings to bi-monthly. Some are going to monthly. So you're right in when we think about transitions that clubs are moving through right now. You all are doing it, and you're making it work for you, and that's wonderful. I'm enjoying hearing about the membership in terms of the age. We are seeing the future now, so I think that's exciting in itself. How does your club handle its programs or the club functions? Do you have a speaker whenever you meet? Is that just a fellowship? Is it just a club service? How do you handle the club functions?
Well, as a president, I definitely oversee a lot of what goes on in the club, but I wouldn't be getting anywhere if it weren't for, the people in my club who actually do a lot of that work. So for the website, we have a member who's dedicated to the website, making sure that stays updated, and has all the information that guests and members would need. We do have guest speakers at our meetings, not just the in-person meetings, but our virtual ones as well. That was actually my job last year. The president-elect has the responsibility of booking those speakers for our club. Okay. Which I thought, as it could be a little bit frustrating at times, trying to coordinate all that and getting them into the schedule. But it was a really good opportunity to sort of curate the issues and the topics that we brought up in our meetings, and sort of shed light on. And as a result, that affects the things that we support financially and with our time as a club. We do have social events as well. We have a Christmas party coming up. We always have a big gala when we present the scholarships that we give out every year. We do have trivia events as well. And hopefully we will be bringing back our wine tasting in the next few years, which was always a big success.
Yeah, those are always a hit, so you got to bring those back. But I'm also glad to hear that you bring the community in when you present those scholarships. How many scholarships do you all give yearly?
So each year we give 2 scholarships, one to a graduating senior going from Arlington going to college, and then another stipend that goes to a student going to either Virginia Community College or sort of an alternative, like trade vocational school. That totals to $18,000 per year, and of course we are still supporting the students from previous years as well. So,
absolutely.
At any given time, we're giving out, easily $65,000 worth of scholarships.
That is so wonderful when you think about today's students having to take on so much debt. It's wonderful to hear that our Rotary clubs are supporting, our young people within the schools that they serve. How about community service? What programs are you all involved in terms of your community service?
We try to diversify where and how we volunteer in Arlington. one of our biggest partners right now is AFAC, the Arlington Food Assistance Center. It's located on 4 Mile Run here in Arlington, and they provide food and help with food security for some of the lower income and more vulnerable people here in the community. So just a couple of weeks ago, a handful of us went down there in the evening, and we individually packed broccoli because the broccoli comes in on these massive pallets and crates, and they need to be prepped to be distributed to the actual families and people who will be eating the food. And so we took all that and we bagged it up, and it's really nice seeing physically seeing all everything that you had just accomplished in the past hour. You're bagging it all up, knowing that all that broccoli would be handed out to families and other people in the community that need it. As early as the next day. We also do other volunteering events. One of the big ones is for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We make no-sew blankets. We create these kits and we give them out to people who are interested, and they can go home. Well, in the days of COVID now, you would go home and you'd make them. Essentially, you just have 2 big pieces of like fleece fabric. You cut little strips on the end, and then you tie all the little strips together. So it's a really easy way for even small kids to get involved. Last year we made I want to say close to 200 blankets that went. Some went to an affordable housing corporation that went handed out to the residents, but most of them went to ACE-BAN.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Path Forward, which helps with people who are experiencing homelessness.
Wow. I tell you, when we think about Northern Virginia, and we know that there is increase in food security in our area, and not necessarily at the lower end of the economic scale, we're now seeing that rise a little bit in our area. So it's great to know that Rotary is there to give back and ensure that no one is left behind in terms of hunger. And I love the idea of the blankets, to be able to have little kids be involved in putting those together and getting them out to the community. That's just something nice to hear. But you know what we're going to do? We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back to talk more with President David Baas. Please stay with us.
Possibilities are all around us. We see potential in unexpected places. And when we share our knowledge, vision, and connections, we turn great ideas into action in communities all around the world. Together, we can make real change happen. We're Rotary. We are people of action. Get involved at Rotary.org.
Welcome back to the Rotary Times. We're here talking with Rotarian David Baas, the president of the Rotary Club of Arlington, Virginia, for the 2022-23 Rotary year. President David, when we left, you were talking some about your service projects. As president, under your tenure, do you have any new projects you're thinking about taking on this year?
Yeah, so when I started my presidency, I really had to, think long and hard about what I wanted to happen in the next year, 2 years, 5 years. Our club's done a really, really good job of finding those communities and finding those areas where our fellow community members need assistance and they need that support. And so my goal really is to continue that work that we are doing, and as well as forming new partnerships. So and I've been speaking and working with the NAACP chapter here in Arlington, looking for ways to collaborate and support each other's programs. And so really, I think it's just important for us to constantly be assessing the community, looking outwards, seeing what's going on in Arlington, and making sure that we are doing our best to find those communities, find those people that are most vulnerable and most in need of support, and finding tangible ways to help them.
That's wonderful. I'm glad to hear you mention that you're doing the community assessments because that way you know that your mission, your vision matches your community needs. So that is definitely the way to go. Let's talk about international programs that you may have at the club. Are you all involved in any global grants of any type?
So at the moment, we do not have any global grants sort of, that are active. Of course, we do support all the, Rotary International efforts with polio and the 7 areas of focus. I believe a couple years ago, we used a good amount of money to purchase diagnostic equipment for a children's hospital in Turkey. And we also recently just decided to support a local student in her sort of path to get a district grant to study nutrition in London. So while we don't have any specific, international projects that we are directly working on, we are speaking with some project partners in various countries, including most notably Latin America, for projects that we can co-sign, we can help with. But we're looking, and we have done things in the past. But right now, I think most of our focus is on the Arlington community.
Oh, gotcha. Here at home, and that's great.
Exactly.
But congratulations too on the student that you're also sponsoring. You said you were sponsoring a student from here that will be part of an exchange student in London.
Correct.
Yes, so congratulations on that. That's very special in terms of that area of scholarship for students wanting to study beyond their, I guess, their undergrad years. Okay? You've talked about several projects and you may have some projects that you haven't mentioned, but what has been the project that you have been involved in personally that you have found most rewarding?
I would say there are two that really stand out, both school related. One of my first leadership positions in the club when I joined back in 2016 was director of youth programs. And our club had an Interact club at Washington Liberty High School that had kind of gone defunct and sort of died out. And so with the help of a couple faculty members, we were able to, just like the Crystal City Club did with my high school, Wakefield, we took an already existing service club and we sort of rebranded as Interact. And by doing that, not only did we have an Interact club to support, but they had all of the resources of the Arlington Rotary Club, District 7610, and Rotary International to help them with their own projects. And we did that for 2 years, of which I was working on that for 2 years with those students, and that was something really special, and I really enjoyed that. And we are looking forward to restarting that club again very soon. The next one would be we bought books for Key School Elementary's book drive, and the reason that is so important to me is because I went to Key School Elementary. I remember those book fairs. And I was very fortunate. I was able to buy books there, pretty much whatever I wanted. But there are students in my class who weren't as fortunate, and so being able to use our resources to help those students, and seeing the joy in their faces when they get to walk out with the book that they chose at that book fair, it brings me back, and it really reminds me of the love and the support that I felt at Key School, and I'm happy that I can help keep that going with those students.
And that's one of the areas of focuses of Rotary is literacy. So you were really keying into that, and what a nice place to begin at the elementary level, because we know that's the foundational piece. So congrats on that. I hope you all will continue with, down that road, looking at the elementary years and partnering with those schools. David, how does your family support you in Rotary? Do they get involved?
My family, they don't get too involved. They've definitely been to a handful of events of ours. I may or may not have had to drag them there, but they're very supportive, and they're, from day one when I first joined, they were a little bit confused. Not many people my age, right out of college, their first thing, when they, after graduation, is to go to a service organization. But they were impressed, and they're very happy with all the volunteering, all the work, and all the great things that we've done in the community. So they may not be members of the club or going to events regularly, but they make it known that they're really proud of me, and they, from what I hear, they like talking about me and my position as president to their friends. So
yeah. Oh, wonderful. Good to hear.
That's nice.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
Well, just their support means a lot in terms, especially as the president, because you do give up a year of your life to be involved heavily. So have them there, if just with the encouragement, is wonderful. Which brings me to our motto, service above self. And it sounds like that's huge for you. How has that been important for you in your personal life?
Service above self was something that I was living by for a long time and didn't even really know it. I was in the Peace Corps in Costa Rica from March 2019 to March 2020. And I cannot tell you how many times I thought of not only service above self, but the Rotary four-way test. Mm-hmm. There's very little structure in the Peace Corps. You are essentially thrown into this community and told, hey, find something to do, find a way to help people. And there's so many ways you can go about that. And so, I really had to think, why am I here? What am I doing? What I plan on doing, is it the best thing for the community? Am I doing this to make myself feel better, or am I doing this because this is what the community needs and I want to help them get there? And that goodwill and friendship aspect is even more important when you're not born into a culture or aren't terribly familiar with it. My host country nationals were very not surprisingly able to sort of pick up on that goodwill and that my desire to be friends with them, even if I didn't pick up on certain cultural aspects or committed a faux pas here or there. They still saw that my goodwill and my desire to be there and learn from them, mm-hmm. And really ultimately help them improve their own community was really something.
Wow. As we close the program, what message might you want to leave with those individuals, those young professionals like yourself, who may be looking at this and thinking, wow, that's where my head and heart is as well? What would you say to them?
I would say that Rotary is exactly what you want it to be. So if you want to join a Rotary Club and get really involved, join committees, become president, go to Rotary International Convention, you can do that and you'll have an amazing time. I can almost guarantee it. If you really just, if food security is, a passion of yours, and maybe you don't have time to go to all of our weekly meetings, you by all means still come with us to AFAC. You can pack food. If you can find other ways through Rotary to work on your passion. And that's a good thing about, especially Northern Virginia, is that there's so many clubs doing so many different things. You can definitely find a club that is working on something that you're passionate about and you can get behind. Rotary has changed so much in the past, 20, 30 years, especially around here. And the more that we change and reflect the community that we're in, the more effective we will be. And ultimately, I think that's what we really want. Besides making friends and feeling like a part of the community, we want to improve and really have an
Make a
impact
difference.
on our neighbors' quality of life.
Yes. Well, thank you, David. We have enjoyed having you on today, and we hope that you will join us again and come back and give us an update at a later time on what's going on in the Arlington community. So thank you for coming.
Thank you. I've had a great time here.
Great. Funding for this program is made possible by the generosity of the Jackson family of Rotary District 7610, Virginia. For the Rotary Times program, I'm your host, Rotarian Dr. Deborah Jackson from the Rotary Club of McLean, Virginia. You're welcome to join us at a Rotary Club in your area for either breakfast, lunch, dinner, or a service project. You can find a club near you by just looking us up on the internet. Many clubs are hosting meetings in person, virtually, or in some hybrid format. You only need to look us up for details. Remember, our time is your time, and it's time well spent. Please join us for our next program as we continue to celebrate Rotary's 117 years of service above self.